if an animal is in an environment of high anxiety or stress, or maybe there's like a family trauma happening, and
Sure.
what's the mental health connection that you see between anxious animals and anxious parents?
Oh, it's a huge problem. I mean, we see a lot of people will come into the office with complaints about, like, behavioral complaints about the dog or the cat, that they're doing something that the owner doesn't like, and like the owner comes in and they're all spun up and stressed out, and like, part of me is like, there's a little comedy here because like they just don't see it. I'm like, do you not see what's happening here? And one of the things that I talk about a lot in the longevity books is and we've kind of touched on a lot of this, but really the effects of diet, exercise, and lifestyle on longevity. The science is quite clear. And to your point, when pets are living in a house where the people are stressed, then that is going to elevate their cortisol levels, and all of the same stuff that comes with it, including shortening of lifespan, will happen with them as well as us.
Yeah. So are you able to give the pet parent prescription for?
You can give them a little armchair counseling, and say maybe you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah. That's amazing. So longevity for cats, longevity for dogs. What
Yes.
are, like, you just kind of mentioned exercise, the basic fundamentals of health and longevity. Give us some that maybe not so obvious, or what?
Sure. Yeah. So foundationally speaking, it's diet, exercise, and lifestyle, but it goes so much further than that. The next thing that I talk about in the books is veterinary care, and that's both from the perspective of how to be proactive with preventative care, but also how to really critically think about some things that are done very commonly in veterinary medicine that might not actually be doing your pet favors. So for example, if and when they're spayed or neutered, how frequently they're vaccinated, whether or not they're getting regular medications, flea, tick, heartworm medication, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories. All these things have a place in medicine, but in many cases they are drastically overused and they're having negative impacts. So that's a thing. Then there's more longevity specific therapeutics. Certain supplements can be very, very beneficial. I go through and really list out all of the known hallmarks of aging in the book, and then go through supplements, pharmaceuticals, regenerative medicine, and discuss how all of these things touch on these various aspects of aging, so we can start to really kind of plan out how to slow that process, so our pets are living longer and better lives.
Amazing. So the details are in the book.
The details are in the book, and for anybody that is at all familiar with longevity science for people, it will all look very, very familiar. It's really just a function of applying what we know for what's being done in people and animals. And the irony is if you look at the science behind most of what's being done in longevity medicine for people, almost none of it is based on human clinical trials. There are none. It's based on preclinical data and animal trials. So, I mean, if an animal trial is good enough to treat humans for longevity, it surely should be good enough to treat animals for longevity.
Correct. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's get into some of the specifics for the pet lovers out there. Okay. How do you make an animal lose weight when they show no interest in playing?
So, and I'll kind of keep coming back to the corollaries in people because it's almost always the same. So when you're looking to lose weight, honestly, like, exercise is important, but nobody really loses weight from exercise. It's a diet question. Mm-hmm. It's a calories question. So number one is how much they're eating. Number two, it's what they're eating. So going back to what we were talking about before, one of the things about, what most dogs, for example, are eating, they're eating kibble, which is obscenely high in carbohydrates, 60, 70% carbs. Well, I mean, what would happen if most people ate a diet that was 60 or 70% carbs. So getting them on a fresh whole food diet is not only better for them in the whole, but all of a sudden you're increasing their protein and their fat intake and decreasing their carb intake. So just like with most people, if you have weight to lose and you cut back on carbs but maintain the same calories, you're losing weight. So that's step one, is just sort out their diet, make sure they're eating an appropriate amount of calories. And yeah, I mean, exercise is going to be part of it. Maybe they don't want to play ball. Take them out for a walk. Go do something.
Yeah. And usually when you're eating better, you feel better, and then you have more energy and desire to do fun things.
And that's very much, that's such a thing with dogs. Like, take a really fat dog, for example. Like, no great wonder that they don't really want to go for a walk. It's hard for them. Get that dog to lose a bunch of weight, and you'll be shocked how much they want to go out and do stuff, because now it's fun. Yeah. It's just like with us. It's just the hardest part is starting. Once you get a little momentum, it gets so much easier.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as you talk about that, I'm just thinking not only fat, but like the inflammation of the joints.
Oh, yeah.
Diet obviously is the foundation. Are there supplements that you are giving to, dogs? I don't know. I'm thinking of like a German Shepherd right now that have back hip issues.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is there supplements that you recommend for inflammation?
Sure.
Joints?
I mean, there are so many things, and inflammation, osteoarthritis. That's such a common problem in veterinary medicine. But for me, you look at herbs and supplements like boswellia, curcumin, hyaluronic acid, glucosamine. There's an herb called devil's claw, which can be very good for inflammation. There's so much stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous how much is out there. And getting back to what we were saying before about pharmaceuticals being overused. One of the most commonly prescribed pharmaceuticals in veterinary medicine are nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories to treat pets with arthritis. Understandable, nobody wants them to hurt, but there are potentially back-end side effects to these medications. So, in my office, it's not that I never prescribe those drugs, but I don't start with them. We start with diet, exercise, supplements like we were just talking about, maybe acupuncture, maybe some other therapeutics. And down the road, as they get older, if they're getting more painful, sure, we'll layer in some pharma if we need to, but it's just not the place you need to start.
Thank you for listening to the Heal Podcast. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. And make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And please rate and review us so that we can grow and reach more people. Thanks so much, and be well.